This is a Mitsubishi Evolution headlight, and we are going to tear it apart, plastic dip the chrome accent, and bake it. This is the back of the headlight and the disassembly of the wires. This is a pretty lengthy process getting this headlight to come apart. Here is your HID bulb assembly. They have two prong clips on both sides. There's the bulb. This wire goes to the HID ballast. Not the ballast? This goes. Okay, this goes to the HID motor.
This is for ballast.
There's going to be a rubber grommet here on the underside of the ballast. Here is the motor. You just turn that and it pops right out. That ball joint right there just slips out. The next steps to this are remove the ground. I know it's kind of dark. There's this wire goes to the ground back there. You're going to want to remove this wire. This goes to
For your high beam, low beam switch. To move
right
the
through there. Take all that out, and then you're going to want to bake your whole headlight assembly on 215 for how long?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Work it out, and then put it in there for another 5 minutes, however long, however many times it would take you to separate it, because that glue is pretty heavy duty. So after you get this assembly out of here, which is a pain in the ass, and this assembly out of here, which is also a pain in the ass, you're going to want to tape up all the holes before you put it in the oven. Then you're going to remove this clip. Might do a little something like that, so make sure you watch where it lands. And you're going to unscrew the front plastic screws. Now you're ready to preheat 215. Make sure you put some kind of aluminum foil on the rack. We've got actual towels. That way it's not metal on metal heat.
And we're waiting for the preheat.
So now we are putting the headlight assembly into the oven.
Make sure it doesn't touch the outside walls of the oven.
And for 5 minutes. Alright, so 5 minutes is up. Go ahead. Take it on out.
Keep the oven on. This might have repeated use. You gotta work fast, because the glue will settle. Put these tabs back. It's a lot easier when it's warm. And so start prying.
You're just going to want to walk it out. Just go little by little. Don't pry too hard or else you break the plastic. Alright, now
We'll put it back in another 5-minute iteration.
we do it in the oven multiple times just so we don't have to pry hard on the plastic. 5 minutes. Alright, we stopped it a little early just so we didn't get any waves in the plastic. Again, start walking it out. It should start to separate by now.
This is pretty strong glue, and it takes some muscles to actually separate this.
And there it is.
Alright, the disassembly of the headlight. We have 4 screw locations. And I have 2 screw locations for your 2 single bezel. For the back of the headlight, to take the entire rest of the assembly out, we need a 10mm socket and ratchet. For this location, this white cap snaps out. And for this one here, 1 screw holds that one in. Remove this screw. We'll have to walk these 2 screws out.
And what these 2 screws are for are the up and down movement that you get from your HIDs.
Left and right also. Mainly left and right. And remove the silver bezel, which we're doing for the blackout. This is remove center cap.
I chose to leave this part reflective and just paint this along with this whole bezel. Alright, so you have these 4 pieces that you're going, well, that I chose to paint. First you want to tape up this side marker and this assembly right here. This is more for a smoked look. You're not going to really be able to see the black through the headlight, but makes it look cool. Make sure you take this plastic piece out of this side marker before you spray it.
Prep, just need to wash and dry off with a towel. If you're using just 1 can of plastic dip, or possibly just 2 coats, if it looks good enough with 1, we'll stop with 1. Do a fluid motions. Don't pull it up because it will start looking like garbage rubber. If you do light coats, do the entire piece on the bezel, comes out with a really good finish.
Alright, so everything's done. Plastic dip, dried. Now what you're going to want to do with the taped parts is you want to go along the edge with a razor blade so it doesn't pull any of the plastic dip off of the parts that you want to stay painted. Use another coat too, but then you can go ahead and pop this back in. And you're done. This one's a little more difficult. So you're going to want to just edge easy because you don't want to scratch your reflective surface on the bottom either. finished product. Still have the middle reflective, but all the outside surrounding is black. We're done with that. Time for reassembly. Show them what
We're reinstalling this piece. We also reinstalled this one. Remember, when you put these screws in, it's the ones with the washers, including the thing that blocks the light for your daylight running lights. And that screw also includes a washer. Installed.
Looking pretty good.
Now we're going to install this inside the housing. These two screws. This one here is for your left and right. You're going to screw it down until you see your wear mark on the outside here. So when you use your adjustment inside the car, it moves the headlights up and down depending on your load or whatever reason. And the secondary screw here, screw that one in almost all the way. Not completely, but almost all the way. So you just have a little bit of enough adjustment so this moves up and down freely so the motor don't bind up. Now you have to get these started. I'm going to walk them in pretty even. You're going to have to line it up on the inside. It's not too bad. The outside's not screwed down all the way. I don't know if you can see it in the video. There's a little bit of a wear mark that extends out a little bit to show the up and down movement of this. Yours might be a little bit different on your Evo, but on this one that's about where it was. Now let's finish screwing in the rest of the screw. Like I said, you don't want to screw this one on all the way, but close. That should be it. Moves up and down easily. So that one's done. Now your turn signal bezel, you're going to go in like so. Alright. Oh, what do you know? This has two screws that hold it in, and I lost that one. Let me dump that one back out. You could use a magnetic tip screwdriver for this. Fortunately, I had to run back out to the garage to get it. Now you're going to put your center bezel on. And your turn signal. This one goes on first, followed by this. There we go. It's just being difficult today. Alright. Everything's lined up.
All warfare is based on deception. For years, the West's hypocrisy has made the war a battlefield.
And one more screw for this.
The clock tower. Our brothers and sons spilled their own blood.
Alright, the next step is going to be reheat and assembly. Just make sure all your spots are still taped. They should be, so you didn't really do anything with this unit. And while you're at it, you clean out the housing as best as you can. Clean the inside of your lens. Don't worry about the outside. You're going to heat it up and get fingerprints all over the place again. And this part's easy. We're going to clean it, but I'm going to show you the process real quick. But I'm going to have it assembled before we start the heat up. You're going to put it on. You're going to push down as hard as you can. You're going to try to start the screws that are on the outside of the housing. Do not tighten them all the way down. Just tighten so they're a little snug. Then you're going to put it in your oven. You're going to bake it. We're going to show you the bake process, but we're going to clean and prep this properly before we bake it. Alright, 5 minutes has passed. We're pulling this out. It's going to be warm. What we're going to do is going to flip it over. You're going to do this quickly. You start pushing in. You're going to hear some of them snap back in place. Not all of them snap back in though. So when you get it close, push the tabs back up and over. Mind you, this is pretty hot. Alright, looks like I have to go back in there one more time, but before we do that, we gotta tighten down these screws a little bit more, or if not all the way in some cases. Looks like I didn't get in time, so I have to do it again. You might get lucky to get it on your first go, but we gotta wait for the camera and everything to pull it out, so. Just snug. The glue is not all the way there yet, so. We're just going to leave this in for 3 minutes after this because it's almost completely set. As you can see, the gap's almost completely gone. It's just, some of these are not pushed down all the way, especially in this area and around here. Alright, now we're just going to put it back in. We're going to leave it in there for 3 minutes since it's about done. But no more than 5 minutes. Alright. Sat for its 3 minutes. Pull out and do this as quickly as possible. It's going to hurt to see. Just make sure it's finished all the way. Like I said, it's still pretty hot. I'm confident that the glue is completely seated, and I'm just going to make sure these are snug and tight. Just don't over torque them. Alright. Now we're going to let this cool down, and then we'll show you the wire assembly process.
So you're going to want to fish this through here so it comes out here.
We didn't show you the disassembly of this wire and one other one. Sometimes we get it out in like 20 seconds, and sometimes it feels like 10 minutes. So we'll show you how to put it back in there. It's a little bit easier to put it in. Now it's going to be a little tight with that rubber boot, but once it comes, it goes all the way through. This should be your first wire. This is for your HID bulb. Now your second wire we didn't show you take apart would be this one. Like I said, sometimes we get it out in 20 seconds, and then again sometimes it takes like 10 minutes. Alright, you're going to fish it in through this hole. And now, here comes the tricky part. Plugging that wire back in. Let me see if I can get some light on this. I just had to turn the light on here for a second. Alright. There's a little plug towards the top of the unit. That black connector down there. And that right there's for your between your high and low on your HID, and that needs to be plugged in there. Alright, so he's going to do that now. It's not easy. A pair of needle nose sometimes helps out. Alright, we installed it, we had to pause it. Like I said, it's not the easiest thing to put in there. So our next order of business would be the grounding wire for your HIDs. It is located down there. Sometimes when you pull this out, that metal sleeve will come out with this. Either way, it's going to the same location. So you're going to grab your pair of pliers or needle nose. In this case, I use pliers. It seems a lot easier with this ballast. You're going to pull the unit up. So it's pushed in all the way. That's it. Next, since we got all those wires reinstalled, it's just push them back through. We're going to reinstall your elevation motor. It's the one that gives you the height. Depending on if you got weight in the car, you got lower car, you're going to adjust it, whatever you need to do. Alright, you're going to lift the entire unit up. You put that ball right in there. You're going to hear it snap. It's going to seat. Then you're going to rotate and hear the snap. It's located in place. Now it holds that entire front bezel in place. And for this, you snap your HID bulb in this, and you put your ballast right in there. And your wiring is pretty straightforward. We're going to show a little bit. This still has a couple more screws to go. Metal bracket has 2 line-up pins. Set them in and screw it down. Need to loosen the other one up. There we go. Alright. This is obvious. Your daylight running light goes in there. We're not going to set it in. Turn signal, it's obvious, it goes to your front left. Your side marker goes into that bottom hole down there. It's a twist and lock. For your elevation motor. And to your ballast. And your ballast goes on the bottom. This right here is the only spot I'm going to show you, then we're done with this. Make sure this is on here. Used, these are like a little over $100. Pull as much slack as you can for the wire. You're going to plug it in. Rotate, and you're going to set in place. These are going to be your big screws.
Did you get that boot on there?
Huh?
Did you get that boot on there?
Yeah. Like I said, just make sure this boot is on there. It helps with the watertight seal and the ballast. I just had to make sure to show you. Of course, I had it upside down. Get your wire through. Well, it's locked in. Look at it again. Alright, I just added a little bit off. We're just leaving this out because we're replacing the bulbs and they're not here yet. It just goes on with your HID.
This one's good though. So just put it back in there. I'm gonna test it out.
We'll show you with the old one though. There's a lineup pin. Let's see where this one is. The outer ring. Push down and spin it to lock it in place. It's a little tough. Now this is not going to be the easiest part either, just because of how big this is. It took me a couple tries on the last one to figure this out. Once it's seated, it's going to seat in all the way. It only goes in one way. You're going to push these flaps. They go in there. This one's going to be a little bit harder because the end of the bulb here is in the way. You're going to push in. It's going to lock it in. And you're going to put your cap. Once it goes in, if it does, now it's done. This is your assembled headlight.
Hope you enjoyed. Middle
This
clip
is
right there.
Make sure it's put back on. As long as it's back on there, you're good to go. It just snaps back on, clip, and done. Now this is ready for assembly.